Today we're going to do the second part of 5.3. So remember we did it the old-fashioned way, and we found that the derivative of the inverse at 4 was equal to 8. So now let's look at the calculus way. In the calculus way, we're going to use if it's not real easy to find the inverses. So this says a lot. So this says the inverse, this derivative, is equal to what? 1 over, now this says the derivative of the inverse. So again, if it's hard to find the inverse, then we're going to work through this process of how to do it. So the first step that we're going to do is we're going to plug in the value that they give us in for y in the original equation. And what that's going to do is that's going to give us the value of the inverse. Because remember, the inverse is wherever there's a y, there's an x and an x and a y. We switch those points. Okay? And what we'll do then is when we plug in that value for y, we will get x. Next, what we'll do is we will find the derivative. And we're going to find the derivative again of the original function. And then third, you'll plug that value that you got from 1 into the derivative. And then finally, you'll take 1 over that answer. Okay, so it's quite a process. So let's take this example that we already did the old-fashioned way, and let's use calculus to be able to find the answer. So first off, what do? Whatever our value is that we're given, we're going to plug that in for y. So 4 equals the square root of x minus 3. So again, let's solve for x. So if I square both sides, I get x equal to 19. Okay, so this is the first step. Now the next step is to find the derivative. And we're going to find the derivative of the original function. So the derivative of x minus 3 is what? Bring down the power, take this to the 1 less power, times the derivative of what's inside, which is just as a 1. Okay. Third, since we need to find what the value is of the derivative of the inverse, now we're going to plug what we got in number 1, we're going to plug that into the derivative function. So 1/2, we're going to actually plug in our answer, which is 19 minus 3. So here again, do that math. We got 1/2. Square root of 16 is a 4. So that'll be 1/8. And then finally, step 4 is to take the reciprocal of that or flip it. And we get what? We get an 8. Which, if you remember from Monday, is the exact way that we did it with the non-calculus way. So obviously the non-calculus way is easier if we can find the inverse, but sometimes it's hard to find the inverse. So take down those 4 steps. We'll do 2 other problems together, and then I'll give you some practice. So let's take a look at problem number 5. So first, what are we going to do? We're going to substitute in wherever we see y. That's where we're going to substitute in that value. And we're going to solve for x. So x cubed would equal an 8. So x equals 2. Step 2, find the derivative. Find the derivative of the original, which is what? A 3x squared in this case. Step 3, plug your answer in to the derivative. So we get 3 times 2 squared, which is 12. And finally, step 4 is we just flip that. So to find the inverse's derivative at 3, your answer would be 1/12. Number 6. This is a little bit different because sometimes it's worded different. So here it says find the inverse's derivative at a. Oh, but then it says what? When a equals 2. So again, step 1, Let's plug in 2 for y. We have a quadratic, so to solve that, we need to set one side equal to 0. Let's solve. What are the factors of -3 that add up to +2? So our answers would be -3 and a +1. Now let's continue reading. It says, find that for the solution that x is greater than 0. So what one of these solutions are x is greater than 0? That would be this solution. Okay, so sometimes we'll just have to continue reading. If this were the opposite, x is less than 0, then we would choose -3 as our answer to go to step 2. So again, what was step 2? Find the derivative. So the derivative of this function is a 2x plus 2. We're going to find the derivative's value at 1, which is 2 times 1 plus 2, which is equal to a 4. And then step 4 is we just flip that. Okay. So again, it's quite a process. You'll need to practice this because it's not necessarily a natural process. And I also want you to practice some problems on page 347, 59 through. 59 section is answering some questions about one-to-one and given word problems, can you tell if they're one-to-one? And then in 71 section to 76 is this actual practice of these types of problems. Okay. So that's today's lesson, and we'll see you next time.